being able to understand everything on the dashboard.
Bit of cooling ducting is pretty important too, like there on Thomas Engers.
That's a big one, isn't it?
Because all that heat being, especially a front engine, well, does it make a big difference, the front engine kicking the heat back into the cockpit more?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, the radiator and the engine is there, and it only goes one way. It goes backwards. So the front of where your feet are, where the pedals are, does get very hot. But what you do need, like that cooling we saw there, you just need a bit of fresh air. Because if you don't have anything, it gets quite still, so the heat doesn't really move around at all. So you just want it to move around. They normally put some holes in the back of the rear window as well, which helps draw it out. But you definitely need a bit of cooling in there. Helps drive running for sure.
So the first segment of qualifying is now underway, and just to remind everybody, all the cars go out in this segment of qualifying, and we're only going to lose a couple of cars at the end of this first segment of qualifying. Because we'll bring it down to 14 cars for segment 2. Then it gets a bit tougher though, because we're then down to the final 8 in the second group, so it gets a bit tight. In fact, 16 cars for the second group, but only 8 for the third group, so that's when it really gets tough. But they've got a longer session in this one to really just get the feel of the car and develop the balance.
It is, but it's important obviously to get through these this first sort of session, because but what you don't want to get involved with is traffic, because as soon as you get involved with traffic, you're going to lose time. You're then sort of, the time starts really going away quick, and then you've got to find that free lap. So it's quite a tricky one sometimes, but the team's got to monitor that.
Tyres, the Michelins they're running on, it's interesting that we just had the F3s out there just before. And in fact, there's been quite a lot of track running generally with GT3s here. They majority run on Michelins. Then you've got the F3 cars running on different tyres, and then you've got these guys going out. So I suppose the track conditions can change a little bit depending on what's been out just before you.
No, absolutely, and I think it does change with cars. I know the guys in the 4GTs are actually complaining that they need rubber on the surface, because they do sort of lack a little bit of grip. So what's happening, as you said, the F3s have been out, we've had the GT3s as well, and that rubber will be going down as the weekend goes on. And then, of course, the balance of the car changes as well. So you're always trying to keep one step ahead, but unfortunately you always want one step behind, because you're not really knowing or understanding what has changed in the track. So it's quite difficult for the teams, but at the end of the day, you've got to base that on a lot of experience and past experiences.
David Brabham just watching as Jamie Campbell-Walter gets ready to come out first of all in their shared Nissan, and that podium they had last time out, the second podium that they've enjoyed so far this season, so it's been a good little boost to their campaign. But we'll wait to see exactly what happens in this one. Out in the number 22 car at the moment is Richard Westbrook, so he's doing the first segment of qualifying. Peter Dunbreck will do the second, as long as they make it there, of course. And then Richard would take it over again for the third. So they swap between the two different drivers on these 3 segments.
Yeah, this is there's only 2 cars on track, so this is sort of an early part of qualifying, but they're going to get a clear lap on this, and maybe they can hopefully anyway utilise this clear track ahead of them.
So on to a lap. Let's ride with him, Johnny. Talk me around a little bit as we're going.
Yeah, he's a left-handed turn 1. You've got to use the curb. You'll see how much they use the curbs. On the exit, they'll be using quite a bit of the curb. Accelerating down, we've got turn 3. It's quite a slow right-hander, and then it goes even tighter for the left. There you go, through the curb. Bit of understeer normally through there. Using all that curb, you've got to sort of, it's a bit of a short. This is important now, with this acceleration and line you get here on this right-hander. This is the Minstrel Straight, which is a long straight. This is a flat-out left-hander. They probably use all the road, yes, on the right. And now it's just really going through the gears. And you've got to get as much speed as you can down this straight. Used to be 1.8 kilometres dead straight, but we've got a chicane coming up here. You'll just be able to brake, there you go. And then it's a left-hander. Tricky in there, yes, there you go, fighting the car, using the curb, again important, there's a long straight, so you're going to use that curb on the left, through the gears once again, and then we've got Sing corner coming up, a little bit of adjustment I think there on the brake balance. I think as you saw that back was a little bit loose, and this is very quick through here, 1 shift down, you've got a little bit of a curb you can use on the left, still fighting the car. This is an early part of where the tyres maybe not quite up to temperature. They take a bit of time to get there. Such a long right hander here. Tightens up on this right there. Accelerating up again. And another left-hander, very long on the entry. And then it tightens up just at this point. Accelerating out. Again, using all that curve. Little right-hand curve as we go in. And this gets quite technical here. got another left-hander, which is long again. So you're a little bit wide on the entry, come across the curb and into the last corner. Again, a second gear using all the curb on the exit, and hopefully a good lap for them.
Yeah, well, he's sort of setting the pace, isn't he, in this session? Let's see what the lap time is like. It's 2:04.0, so we saw a 2:03.8 yesterday in the free practice session, but that's still a very competitive time then.
It is on lap one, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. No, good lap that from Richard. I really enjoyed riding on board and seeing that. That was good stuff with Richard being talked around by you, so that was nice.
Yeah, it was it's interesting as well. You can see where, of course, things have changed a little bit, and that's where he was adjusting that brake balance we saw after the chicane. And you've just got to do the final fettling in these sessions to get the best out of the car.
Now, interesting, you've got the sectors coming up in the bottom left corner of the screen. Now, a second slower than Westbrook was in the first sector there. About a second slower, I think, on the second sector as well. So the Ford clearly is not a match at the moment. 37, actually, no, not so much off. He's about 7/10 off Richard's time in the middle sector. And it's quite a long third sector, isn't it? It seems to go on forever, the third sector.
It is, but this is where all the time is won and lost, to be honest, because you've got that's where the corners are. It gets a little bit slower as he goes into the second last corner, and the speed is just coming down and down and down. And when you're in slow corners like this last corner, you don't want to be in it for long, because you don't want to be in it for too long and losing too much time. So you want to get through it as quick as you can.
So let's just see what the time is. It's not going to be anywhere near Richard's time. 2:05.7, 1.6 off. And you can see on the sector times, it's 35 seconds around about on the first sector, 37 seconds for second sector, and a full 52 seconds third sector. So it's a long sector, quite hard to sort of judge exactly who's going to be quick. As you say, all those twists and turns requiring quite a different setup. So out on circuit as well is the number 4 Aston Martin there of Christian Hohenadel. That's the Hexis car. He's just picking up speed. He's just gone out of the pit, so he's not on a flying lap as yet. So he's still trying to work some temperature into the tyres, particularly the fronts. It's easy getting temperature in the backs when you've got 600 horsepower to light them up with, isn't it?
It is, and that's always the balance that you've got to do. If you just spin the wheels all the time, you get a lot of temperature, like you said, Ben, in the back, but then you can't turn the car because there's nothing in the front. So it takes a bit of time. Normally, the sort of the second lap can be the fastest, but we are aggressive with this surface we have here at Paul Ricard.
Yeah, definitely. So over the line we go with Christian Hohenadel. As I say, had a good result in the Corvette in GT3 here last year. Turns it into the first section.
And you generally see this Aston Martin is that little bit more on the edge than the Nissan we were riding with before. But so we go inboard here, and normally the car is just that little bit more difficult to drive, and you see there's the twitchy there, and then he's trying to use the curb. He's losing a lot of time, you see, because he's not on the correct line. If you're not on the correct line, you're not on the rubber. If you're not on the rubber, you're not getting the grip. So you've got to be so precise with the car to get it through. But I know the Aston Martin generally is quite an edgy car around this circuit.
Yeah, back on board as he comes down towards that chicane area, little flex of the fingers. Now watch the braking and down changing here. You've got to get the car really slowed down, but balanced on turn-in. Watch him here. What does this look like?
Looking okay. Again, brake balance is always very, very important to get the right amount of braking front to rear, and looks as if they've got a better balance going into the qualifying session where we saw this. They just had to do that little change, but overall they were very, very fast.
Andrea Puccini keeping an eye on what's going on there through the senior right-hander down towards the double droit, the double right, which you were talking about. Put so much load on that left front tyre in particular here. The braking's tricky. You see them sort of on and off the brakes coming into that.
Absolutely, yeah. And you see most of the corners here as well, there's quite a lot of right-handers as well, so it's normally a little bit harder on the right side of the car as well, which obviously is something where you need, from a race point of view, you need a car that is very smooth and very balanced.
Yeah, it doesn't overwork any particular aspect. Final corner then, the front spoiler almost kissing the ground there, helping the front downforce of the car, and around to cross the line. So Richard Westbrook still fastest on a 2:04.0, and Hohenadel goes third, 2:05.3. It's over a second off the pace at the moment, so a little work to be done there. It's Nissan from Ford, from Aston Martin and another Ford, with Makovic having done a first lap of a 2:06.0. Out on track though now is the number 38 Lamborghini, Marcus Winkelhock, who took pole position in qualifying last time out at Navarra, and really getting to grips with this whole GT1 thing. I know we've had quite a few races now, but great combination. Marcus Winkelhock, Marc Basseng leading the championship, remember, with this number 38 car.
Absolutely. Generally, the Lamborghini has actually been quite good here at Paul Ricard, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do across the line.
They do feel as though they're not going to be as quick in a straight line down the straight. He's gone fifth there, 2:07. That's right on board.
Long way off, but I think this is where maybe they get this lap. I would think is going to be the one where you're going to get the time out of it. Could absolutely wring its neck as he's fighting that car lovely, but he's on line, so he's doing the right thing at the moment. We're going into that turn 3. Very tricky on that entry. See, the back actually there was stepping out down to second gear.
That was good.
It was.
Because he was sliding, but he sort of kept it on line.
He kept it on line, he kept it on the rubber, so he had the grip. He's very aggressive with everything, isn't he? The steering, you can see how aggressive. Very wide there. That was a little bit maybe wider than he wanted. But that was good onto the straight, so hopefully he's been able to carry that extra bit of speed. And now he's got that sort of tricky chicane where the braking is very important to have a car that is balanced very well. So we'll see how it goes.
Still 6/10 off the first split, mind you. And can I just tell you, while we're watching this, Stefan Mucker's just gone fastest in the Aston Martin. But we're riding with Marcus Winkelhock here, out of the chicane, up towards Scene Corner now.
Yeah, the car's looking a little bit easier for him to drive at the moment, but I think he's just not quite got that second sector time. Oh, he wasn't looking for...
He doesn't change down. Westbrook changed down for that one. He didn't change down.
No. Again, that's a style sometimes of a driver, and it can be also how the car is as well. But he didn't get the gear. They missed a gear on the downshift, so he's losing time on this part of the tricky third sector.
No, you could miss the gear on these sequential, but you can't. It looked like it.
It looks as if he went in between gears.
It
didn't quite go in properly.
Really interesting. Really good lap to watch this from on board with Marcus Winkelhock. Watch this last part now. Look how long this left-hander goes on for. Now stop, quickly stop, get it into the final turn.
Big lock there. Steering lock that is.
Yeah, he had to really yank the steering. But I don't think this is going to put him on top. Let's just see where it does put him. 13th only.
Well, again, he's had that gear downshift problem, so I think he lost a lot of the time there. But it looks as if he's going for another one, I think. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, Corvette there, going well on the first sector. That's the Mike Haseman's car. It's gone third quickest. So, and it's on a better lap, so this might even go faster. It's currently Stefan Mucker for Aston Martin, Richard Westbrook for Nissan, Haseman's here in the Corvette, Piccioni and another Aston, Katzberg for the Nissan team is 5th, Hohenadel 6th, Enger 7th, Makovic is 8th, Jamie Campbell-Walter currently 9th, and then Bassliners in 10th, as we watch Mike Haseman's there, and see how he gets on. Andy Zuber also watching quite closely into the final turn then. So good first sector, fastest of anybody, including the Nissans. He's improved his personal best in the mid-sector. If he's done enough, he could take fastest time here. Mike Haseman's about to cross the line, and fantastic, a 2:03.973 for Mike Haseman. First into the 2:03s in this qualifying session. I can tell you last year pole position went to the Maserati. In fact, of course, we don't have any Maseratis in the series this year, of Andrea Bertolini at a 2:03.5. So potentially we could still see some faster times, but that was a good lap from Mike Haseman.
I think it's wonderful to see that Corvette still competitive after all these years, but it's just such a wonderfully developed car, and he's still able to produce the goods. Yeah,
fantastic stuff. On board the number 3 Aston Martin, Piccioni now. Good first sector, but he's backed it all off now, hasn't he?
He has.
So there's not going to be a further improvement. Haseman's on top, Mucker 2nd, Westbrook 3rd, Enger has moved up to 4th on the last lap. Piccioni 5th, Katzberg 6th in the Nissan, 7th, Hohenadel 8th, Makovic, Campbell-Walter 9th, Bassliners 10th. Then it's Engelberg, Pastorelli and Winkelhock. Lamborghinis actually are struggling a bit for outright pace here. So although Peter Kops was quite fast in a Lambo here last year, the Lamborghinis might struggle in terms of straight line speed on this circuit, although they've got the great handling. So we'll see. Now this is the Nissan of Michael Krum and Lucas Law, the number 23 car. It's Michael Krum in the car at the moment. but although he's getting personal bests in green, it's because he hasn't set a lap yet, and the sector times are not very quick on this opening lap as yet, so maybe he's going for a slightly different approach. Maybe he's going for a second flying lap to be the quick one.
That's the possibility for sure. You know, some cars are good on the first lap, some don't quite utilise the tyres enough, so you do a bit of a sort of softish lap just to get that temperature in, and maybe we see it'll be in the second lap.
I think Westbrook's better time was actually on his second flying lap, wasn't it? The 2:04.0.
Yes.
They will have worked that one out, and they've learned from their teammate going out first. They've decided, put in a slightly gentler 6 second off the pace type of lap. Don't take too much out of the tyres. Now, this will be Crum on the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be an interesting one to see. You've got to get a perfect lap here. You've got to use those curbs and utilise the width of the track to get the speed out of the car.
Teammate Lucas Lohr watching closely, see what's going on here. Now, we've seen a few people overdrive this next section. What about Michael Crum?
That was clean. Very clean. Nicely done.
Yeah, stays on the shiny bit of tarmac where all the grip is. Now, this is where he's got to get out of this bit cleanly, isn't he?
First split.
First sector's great, isn't it?
Now he's just got to get that drive to carry that speed down the straight. Seems to be not using too much of that exit, which is good.
It's very tidy so far.
Yeah, very tidy.
Braking crucial on the next sector. They're up to 260 kilometres an hour here, so about 160 miles an hour, just over 165 miles an hour. And then yank on the anchors.
That's good. Use the curb, especially the curb on the exit. And go over the curb. Now you need that speed again. Seam corner coming up. Very, very fast right-hander.
See what the second split's going to be like. Oh, that's good. It's the fastest second split of anybody. He's up on time here, and he's on target. Hazeman's, by the way, has just gone fastest, so that was a great lap again by Mike Hazeman's. But this lap from Michael Crum is potentially even faster. Remember, they've still got several segments to go. Sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, well, it's just that final sector now, which is going to be where it gets a bit technical. This is where there are proper corners, and they're very, very long corners. But at the moment, I say Michael is doing a sterling job. It looks as if he's perfectly on line. He's using the right amount of curb. He seems to be able to carry the speed through the corners as well. So this is looking very good.
This looks like what they say, a hooked-up lap, because the car's not sliding around too much. He's online everywhere, and yet it's very fast. Deceptively fast lap, this from Michael Crum. It's looking good to go top. Let's see if it's enough. 2:03.3, it's enough by half a second. That's how good a lap it was. A brilliant lap by Michael Crum to take fastest time from the Corvette of Hazeman's, the Aston of Mucker. Westbrook's Nissan is now fourth, Enger is fifth, Piccioni sixth. We're looking at the number 10 car, which has not done any laps as yet. So I wonder if they're going to be coming out. They've done an out lap, so the car's working, but they're preserving tyres. Maybe going to go quickly do a run at the end here, or will they simply sit out qualifying, knowing that they don't want to make it through to the next segment? Seems strange. You'd think you'd want to get through to the second segment, but maybe they've made that decision. So just over 2 minutes to go, and across the line goes the number 38 car, Marcus Winkelhock, all the way down in 14th. What a reversal of form. This guy was on pole at Navarra. No one had an answer for these Lamborghini Murcielagos there, but it is a very different story here. Winkelhock is 14th, and their other car, Pastorelli, is currently 11th.
Yeah, unbelievable. Using all the curbs still. Seems to be very aggressive, maybe over-aggressive with the car at the moment.
Yeah. Antoine Leclerc, car number 10, still in the pits. Let's go and hear from him what their strategy is here.
Antoine, I understand you're just preserving the tyres with car number 10.
Yes, we decided with the team to preserve the tyre for the race, for the two races, so we are confident for the race, and we will see this afternoon for the qualifying race.
Thank you.
Oh, interesting strategy. I mean, we have seen people with good tyres manage to use the pit stops particularly to their advantage, and maybe they felt they'd be at the bottom end of the top 14 anyway, so why waste a set of tyres? I guess that's their question.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and it may be a shrewd move. It makes it difficult for them, obviously, because they'll be further down the grid, so they've got to push that little bit harder to pass all the cars that are going to be in front of them. But we're back here with Marcus.
What a great view.
Still twitchy, though, on that entrance. He doesn't do that shift down, as you said before, Ben, but he seems to be Still struggling with the car. It doesn't seem to be very balanced very well at all. We saw with the inboard earlier on, he does a lot of steering lock, which tends to say to me that there's a lot of understeer in the car. But when you have that amount of lock on the exit, and some of those corners we saw, it gets twitchy, because it then goes into sort of a twitchy oversteer. So it's not the best balance to have anywhere, but especially here at Paul Ricard.
He should just scrape through into the next segment of qualifying, but I tell you, it's that marginal for the championship leaders, because they are 14th at the moment.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to be eclipsed by Vanina X, who's 15th, but even so, this is a bit of a surprise. Better middle sector, but it's still not going to be massive improvement. Let's just see if it does pop him up at all. Nope, stays 14th on a 206.5. That was a 206.7. So, definitely struggling here at the Alinkel.com cars. They are going to have to pull something out of the bag in the next segment of qualifying, otherwise they are not going to be in the top 8, neither of them. They're 11th and 14th at the end of that, but it's Michael Krum who has set the initial pace. Both he and Mike Hazeman's the only cars into the 2-minute 3-second bracket, and actually, interestingly, that time that Michael Krum set faster than the Maserati time from last year, so it's effectively a new pole record. But remember, the actual pole position, the number 22 Nissan is 4th in the times at the moment. Peter Dunbrecht due to come out. Alex Muller takes over the Aston that Thomas Enger put 5th, and then the Hexus Aston Martin and Piccioni and Dusseldorp 6th. 7th place for the other Nissan of Katzberg and Bernoldi. 8th place for the Hexus Aston of Hohenadel and Piccini. And then 9th for the first of the Fords, the Makovicky Max Martin car. And Martin's already been out in a GT3 session today. Michael Rossi in the Corvette will take over from Dimitri Engelbert. And Dominic Schwager only 11th in his Lamborghini, ahead of the Nissan of Jamie Campbell-Walter and David Brabham. And probably see more performance from that car. They might have been biding their time there a little bit. The other Ford of Linders and Henrici 13th. The Lamborghini of the championship leaders, though, way down. Look how far off the pace they were. Massive difference. And then X Nygaard not making it through. And as we know, Antoine Leclerc and Jan Claret also not through. It's going to be much tougher for the next stage to get through into the top 8. So, Nicky Pastorelli, only 11th in that session. Let's go and hear from him. What he thinks of the Lambo's performance here.
Nicky, unfortunately, the Lamborghinis haven't quite been on the pace here so far.
No, not completely on the pace yet, but actually I'm pretty happy. Yesterday we had some trouble. We were really far off the pace. Now we are a lot closer, so I hope we can make some small changes. And
imagine we're going to see some very competitive lap times in this one. Out they come then, and Lucas Luhr first on track, interestingly enough, with West Dunbrecht. It is now, should be in the number 22 car. Behind Darren Turner, Alex Muller comes out, Andrea Piccini out on circuit, so is Enrique Bernoldi. So a lot of cars coming straight out onto the circuit and not wasting any time at all. Meanwhile, let's go and hear from Corvette man himself, Mike Hazemans.
Mike, the Corvette is certainly performing well, and yourself obviously behind the wheel.
Yeah, no, it's good. The Nissan was a little bit too quick. But I don't know, we have to look at the data, find some time for the Q3.
Thank you.
So yeah, Mike, grin on his face, but how's Andy Zuber going to get on with this car? Andy competed at Silverstone with Mike, and he then missed out Navarra because Nico Verdonk was in the car, but Andy's back in again. Enjoyed a very successful run in a Corvette in Abu Dhabi at the start of 2011, but a man who certainly done a lot of single-seaters. He was official test driver for Honda and Super Aguri in F1 in 2007, and becoming a GT racer only in the last couple of years. So let's see how he gets on with this Corvette around the twists and turns of the Paul Ricard circuit. Meanwhile, the first cars out there, the likes of Peter Dunbrecht and Darren Turner, those two were following each other around the other way round at Navarra for quite a few laps. And Darren, he's always a tough guy to pass, and Peter Dunbrecht always knew it was going to be almost impossible. In fact, he slips through there. Darren's decided to go and get some clear air and try and get a run, whereas Peter's maybe looking after the tyres a bit more. We saw that Michael Krum did his best lap on his second flying lap, didn't he?
No, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys sort of keep the gaps. You can see those two cars, they're just going out shot. They're actually backing off, so they're trying to give themselves a bit of a window. There's only 12 and a half minutes to go at the moment, so they're not going to get so many laps in. So it probably would just be 1 or 2 time laps. That'll be it, I would imagine.
So here goes Darren then. He's definitely going to go for it on the first lap, whereas the Nissans might wait for the second lap before really putting the hammer down. And it's the DB9, the V12 front engine 6-litre of power unit in there. 600 brake horsepower, and down into turn 1 goes Darren Turner. And let's see what he can deliver with this car. We saw the pace from Stefan Mucker earlier. He's got to keep it nice and tidy through these first couple of sections, down towards, goes through that sort of curve into turn 3. This is virage of the hotel corner, through Camp, this left-hander, and then through a tight right, dropping down to about only 40 miles an hour through there. But now they really begin to sort of build it up through the tricky right-hander at St. Baume. And this is where the speed really builds. 34.8 at the first sector. That's reasonably competitive, isn't it, to what we saw in first qualifying? I think sort of mid-34s was the pace in that first sector.
Yep, seems to be. It's on par with the 22 car.
Okay.
It's the Nissan, so not too bad at the moment. No one else is going any faster at the moment, so it's not a bad first split, but we have seen the Nissan actually seem to do its quickest lap on the second one, so yeah, keep an eye on that.
Nice and tidy through the chicane, no worries there. In fact, Dumbreck still chasing him as they come down the straight. 36.8 at the second split. Again, that seems to be pretty comparable with some of the top times, if not the best, in the first 7 of qualifying. Watch the balance here.
He's not making many errors, which is good. It'll just be interesting to see if they can really wring another one out of it on the second lap, because that does seem to be maybe the better lap to get it correct.
Dumbreck was about a tenth of a second slower, that's all, in the second sector behind him to Darren Turner. So this is going to be the fastest time so far. Is it going to be in the 2:04s, or is it going to be in the fast enough to be in the 2-minute 3s, which is what we saw in the first segment of qualifying from some of these guys? Across the line he goes, and no, it's a 2:03. It is 2:03.4. The clock there didn't stop, but it did on our screen. 2:03.4. Very, very good first lap, and Dumbreck did a 2:03.9 behind him. So you're still riding on board now with the other Aston of Alex Muller. He's on a lap, just crosses the line, but he does a 2:04.6, which is 1.1 seconds slower than Darren Turner has just achieved. That was a good lap by Turner, no doubt about it. Still riding with Muller, as he may well try to string together another lap. Up to second has gone Dumbreck. So no, he was second. Muller's gone up to third. Henrici is fourth. That's a good lap in the Ford, 2:04.7, but not in the 3s. And this is the Corvette with Andy Zuber at the wheel. That was a good first sector, middle sector average.
That's a good, yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to put him top 10, but it's not going to put him at the very, very top, I don't think.
We've got Dumbreck has done a very good first split.
Well, his second was faster than I thought. He did a very good final sector there, Zuber.
Very good, yes, because the middle sector wasn't so hot.
No, he did a 51s on that final sector. That is quick.
Yeah.
So the Corvette very fast on the final sector there. A new fastest first sector for Peter Dumbreck, but the mid sector reasonable, not the best. So he's up slightly on the fastest time so far. All depends on the long final sector. You're riding with Dumbreck now.
We're getting into the long right-hander there, using that curb. Accelerating through left-hander, turn in, trying to now really gets tight. Accelerating out, and we're coming up to really the last two corners. Another long left, followed by a very tight right-hander. Line seems to be okay at the moment. Probably kiss that curve there, and then he'll just really get down to second gear and use all that curve and acceleration on the exit. And hopefully we'll see if he does a good time.
So Turner currently fastest. Let's see what there's third still for Dumbreck. That was a 3.960, so almost the same actually as what he'd already done. I think virtually identical times. There is the Corvette. Andy Zuber's now done a very fast first sector. Middle sector 37.2, actually it's about 4/10 off the best, so that's not a brilliant mid sector. Are the tyres going away now? Well, we'll find out on this final sector, because you need the grip on this last sector of the lap. If the tyres have begun to sort of give up their best grip, then he might struggle to improve. But remember, he's already second.
Yeah, and you don't want to overdrive. Overdriving is a very easy thing to do. You overdrive, you're not quite on the right line, you then don't carry the speed that you need through the corners. So he needs to get this part of it right. And in the last time, actually, in the last lap, he was actually very good on this sector.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he can do
203.6 is what he's already done, so he's already been very fast. 203.4.
Wow.
So it's a faster time, but he's 600ths slower than what Turner's done. What was his final sector then? It was a 51.6, so it was pretty much the same as his previous bests.
Which is good. Yeah.
Very fast over that final sector.
Need to tidy up that middle sector.
Yeah. So Zuba's going well in the Corvette, but not quite by a gnat's whisker, not quite quick enough to get the fastest time. Now then, we're with the 41 Ford here, which is currently down in 12th place. Max Martin at the wheel, the Belgian. Now, where's he going to put the car? Can he move it up a little bit here? 203, 204, up to 8th. That's on the bubble. Remember, top 8 are going to go through into Q3. We've got 6.5 minutes remaining in this one. Let's see what happened to number 11, the Andy Zuba car. Oh, this was the middle sector, remember, where we said he hadn't got such a great time. That's why.
Well, that's in some ways it's probably good for them. We're going to go into Q3. He's made an error. He's lost time. But he's actually overall done a very good actual lap time. So there is more to come.
I guess the big story here is still that the two Lamborghinis are the slowest in this segment of qualifying. So the championship leaders are currently 13 and their teammates are currently 40. Looking at the number 40 Ford of Mark Henrici, that's in 12th, so also in danger of not making it through to the final part of qualifying. Right now, the top 8 that would make it through is the Aston of Turner, the Corvette of Zuba, another Aston of Alex Muller, Nissan of Dumbreck, Aston of Piccini, then the Nissan of Lucas Law, another Nissan of David Brabham, and Max Martin in his Ford. But with a couple of, still another Nissan behind them, and another Corvette of Rossi, they could change those positions. You're looking there at David Brabham now with a great middle sector. That's gone purple. So this is going to improve Brabham's current position, which is 7th. Now, how does he deal with the last part of the lap here? He and Jamie Campbell-Walter sharing that podium finish last time out, but it, as we've already discussed, could have been victory if they'd had a rapid pit stop, the way the race turned out in the end. Backs up their other podium finish from earlier in the year in Portugal. Now, what kind of lap time has David Brabham got in the final sector? It looks very controlled, a bit like Michael Krum's lap earlier on in terms of not getting too out of shape. So he goes across the line, it's 204.0, so he's 6th quickest. That's enough at the moment, but I tell you what, it's ever so close. It's very much danger territory, I would say, still there, Johnny.
Oh, definitely is, yeah. We've still got sort of 4.5 minutes to go, so there is still something, some action that could change those situations in those lower parts of getting through to Q3.
Lucas Lua here has done a 2:04.0. It's amazing, we've got 4 cars. Is it 4, 1, 2, 3? Yeah, 4 cars have done 2 minutes 4.0 something. And that's his Piccini in the Aston, Brabham in the Nissan, Martin in the Ford, and Lua in this other Nissan. It's incredibly close.
Yeah, Peter Dumbreck is only 1/10 ahead of that, so it's very, very tight.
Yeah,
it was half it, no, it's a 10th.
And Bernoldi at the moment is 4/10 off that, and therefore he's not in the top 8. So Bernoldi's the one who's got to, of the Nissan drivers, has got to sort of up it a little bit, try and find a bit more speed if he can. But right now, the ones that are looking in danger of not going through are Bernoldi, Rossi, Dusseldorp, Henrici, Basseng and Schwager. That's the big surprise, really. The Lamborghinis still both are really struggling here to get on terms with the pace of the front runners. You're looking there at Mark Basseng. We saw Winkelhoff driving this car right to the ragged edge in first segment of qualifying. Let's see what Basseng does with it.
Well, there's all flames coming out the back, so hopefully those flames are going to give it a bit of speed.
To the jet power. Down to the chicane he comes. Now, that V12, yeah, you see what we mean, yeah. And brake dust, interestingly, flames and brake dust, that's quite a good mixture.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, he looked clean through it.
Yeah, nice on the exit as well. 2 Lamborghinis running on track virtually together, just enough gap. They won't hinder each other. They're nicely separated, so they're not going to disturb each other's airflow. He turns it in quite firmly into the right-hander at C. Bounces over bobbles over the curve a little bit.
Only a couple of tenths off in that second sector of the best.
Right. So not green, but if you've got a really mega final sector, maybe he could just move up a little bit here.
Yeah, but it's actually his teammate who's not doing so bad at the moment, although his first sector wasn't brilliant.
Okay.
And they're losing a lot on the first sector, these Lamborghinis.
Is that where it's going?
Really struggling at the moment. A little bit on the second. And we'll see on this final sector how they go.
Third gear, waiting for that corner to finish. First gear, as you mentioned, through this last corner.
Yeah, this is not looking really so hot as a overall lap time. There you go.
Oh, he's come in.
Yeah.
Okay. So his teammate, I think, will complete the lap. So we'll get an idea what his final sector's like as well. Let's just see. Across the line he goes. He does improve up to 11th. It's not enough, though, to get into the top 8. What's the final sector? It's 51.9. Is that competitive? Not particularly.
Not particularly, no. 51.6 is the best. It's just those like sort of couple 310s that are really hurting them.
There's maybe the first sector where they're really paying the price.
Well, it's the first and the second. They seem to be really struggling. They're losing over half a second just on those two.
So Benoldi's in 10th place here. You're riding with him now in the Sumo Power Nissan. He's got to find something very special. I'm not sure he's going that fast. No, he seems to have backed it off, so he's not going to do anything. We've only got just over a minute to go. Whether he's going to come round, I would have thought there won't really be the grip in the tyres now. So it looks as though Benoldi, sadly, may not make it through into the top 8. So he and Nicky Katzberg will have to put up with being a bit further down on the grid. Brabham has now come into the pits. He's 6th, Martin 7th. So is there anybody outside the top 8 at the moment who looks as though they could threaten? There's nobody I can really put my finger on.
Well, it's only going to be Benoldi if he has got another lap in those tyres.
Yeah, because he'd probably get across the line before it ticks away. So it's currently out of the top 8. We've got Michael Rossi in the Corvette, Benoldi here, Schweger, then Dusseldorp, Henrici and Baseng. They're the ones that are not in there. Now let's watch him here. Does he come in the pits, or does he actually get on it out of the last corner and try and do another lap here? Watch him.
He's going to go for it.
Yeah, he is. So he's just beaten the checkered flag, I think.
Yeah.
13 seconds to go to checker flag. So yeah, here we go. This will be a last gasp chance for Enrique Benoldi to get into the top 8. Watch him down, and we're just watching the Lamborghini at the moment. That's the number 37 car, Schweiger. Don't think this is... he's got some green, so it will move him up a little bit. Is it enough, though, to get him into the top 8? Cross the line. Yes. He's done it, 7th. And that has pushed Lucas Luhr out of the top 8. Now, where is Lucas? Is he on track? Yeah, Luhr is on track. He's just done a better first sector. Oh, this is good. Final moments of second segment of qualifying. We're going to see some changes here.
And we've got Dumbreck as well. Fastest in the first sector.
Right, so Dumbreck's just done the fastest time of anyone in the first sector. Lucas Luhr's on a better lap. Dumbreck might get held up here. Oh, no, that's Lucas Luhr. Lucas Luhr might get held up by the Aston. Oh, that's not what he wanted. Does
Definitely
get through.
Yeah, it was quite bad of that Aston. That should have got out of the way much sooner than it did.
Dumbreck then, he's got that good first sector. Middle sector, not as good, 36.9, but in the ballpark because the best sector, 36.8. So actually, he's still on a good lap here. 4th fastest at the moment, remember. And I wonder if the team will be telling him if anyone else is likely to displace him. I don't think he'll be displaced anyway. I think they've done enough here.
Yeah, looking that way, yeah.
It's more important for Lucas Luhr that he's got a good lap going. And has he got a decent enough? I'm not sure, you know, that Lucas Luhr's got a good enough lap going at the moment.
It's just that second sector. It's not one of the best, but he's got to get a good final one. That's the only way he's going to be able to jump up.
So Dumbreck is going to be safe. Let's see whether he actually improves his time at all. He goes 3rd. It's one better for Dumbreck. But what about Lucas Luhr? Has he done enough to get into the top? Yes, he has. He's in 7th place. Lucas Luhr has just done enough to get the 23 Nissan into the top 8. Has a big impact in terms of the championship, that, because they are trying to close the points on the Lamborghinis. Number 3, Aston, crossed the line in 10th, doesn't make it. Steph Dusseldorp does not get through. Any further changes, we'll just try and see if there are any more changes here. Dominic Schweger did that good lap, and he's got their Lamborghini into 8th, remember. I don't think there's anyone else who can improve.
No, I think we're done.
Whoa, good stuff. So the one Lamborghini is in, but the championship leading Lamborghini did not make it through to the final segment of qualifying. The Nissan didn't make it through, nor did the Henrici Linders Ford, and not in it also the championship leaders, number 38, the Lamborghini of Baseng and Winkelhock. So we're into the, well, not quite, because we're just waiting for the session to start, but the final segment of qualifying due to get underway. And there's Haley with Darren, so we can go and hear from the two of them.
Darren, the Aston is definitely on the pace. Do you think Stefan can turn that into a pole?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, he's got the pace. He showed it yesterday in pre-qualifying that the car can do it, and Stefan put a really good lap together.
Our pole sitter for the Paul Ricard round. Let's just remind you that 3 times this year pole position has been taken by the number 37 Lamborghini of Nicky Pastorelli and Dominic Schwager. They are in the top 8, but they haven't shown that kind of pace as yet. We've seen a pole position for Westbrook and Dumbreck. That was in Portugal. And we've had pole for Hasemans and Katzberg in Silverstone. But other than that, we haven't seen anyone else on pole. So it's certainly the Pastorelli, Winkelhock and Basseng in the Lamborghini last time, but it's Schwager and Pastorelli who've been the sort of the main top qualifiers. I don't think they're going to do that today. It's more likely to be either an Aston, a Corvette, or indeed a Nissan.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's just really putting yourself in the right place on the track so you don't get any traffic. Thomas Enger was just sitting in the pits letting everybody go by. So I think he'll be joining the circuit in a moment and giving himself a nice clean track in front. And this is always the important thing. The Nissan typically went out first again to give themselves a better chance. And there we are, see him weaving down the straight, just giving a little bit more temperature into those new tyres.
Yeah. So this is all about preparation. Interesting that Lucas was talking about they tried a different strategy, which it seemed to work for Michael Krum in the first run, which was do a fairly gentle first lap and then go for it on the second lap. Lucas didn't like that.
Yeah, well, I think Lucas was a little bit slower, and maybe it was just a bit too slow. Maybe that temperature wasn't quite there enough, because he's trying to get the right pace to actually start that last part of the circuit before you get into the last corner, to have the temperature at the maximum and the correct window of working temperature.
Michael here is a bit of a renowned sort of expert. He takes the professorial approach to racing. He really analyses everything, doesn't he? Every aspect of driving a race car. He's written a book on it recently, which has just been published. So, I mean, he really is a thinking driver and works at every aspect.
Yeah, and you've got to analyse everything to actually get everything out of yourself and out of the car and effectively out of the team. You've actually got to analyse everything together to actually utilise it once you're on track.
Now, very gentle. Now he gets on it, but it's a very gentle outlap, wasn't it?
Very gentle, yes.
Looks as though he might be going to push quite hard on this one, though, so let's keep an eye on him. It looks to me as though he's not going to take it that steady. Maybe he'll put in a sort of 9 tenths and save up the 10 tenths for the second run.
That's what we have seen from him, so it'll be interesting if he does exactly the same thing. I'd be surprised if he changes it. We've only got maybe a degree or so of change. You know, you see the car, he's fighting the car at the moment, which is never a good sign, because he was much smoother, I think, in that first one.
He certainly likes the curve on the right-hander at Hotel.
Crashed into that.
Yeah. All right.
On the lock, looking okay.
That's a crucial bit here.
Still fighting the car a little bit there. We've got that flat-out left-hander now onto the straight.
Good first sector.
The curve is okay.
34.8, although Westbrook actually, sorry, we are on board with Westbrook here. I'm busy getting myself confused. I thought we were on board with Krum for a moment, but we're on board with Westbrook, so he's certainly attacking. And this was more the sort of style we saw from Westbrook was to go hard straight away. It seems to suit his style to do that. So let's carry on down the rest of the Mistral straight here, down towards the right-hander at Seam. Is there a down change for him?
A nice quick run, there he was.
36.6.
Very well at the moment.
So he's got the fastest sectors of everybody so far. Enger's done a 34.7 in the first sector. Watch his feet on the pedals. Look at how they play between brake and throttle through that double right.
Yeah, he's always trying to get the front end, because he actually dips down a little bit where you lose the front. There's a bit of a compression as it comes up again where you get the grip back, but it's actually getting the front to turn, and that's entry to that right-hander there. So we've got the long left-hander there. Ran a bit wide there, hasn't it? It's cut across a bit. It's a different line than we've seen most. They actually go in much tighter on the entry. And that was a slightly different line there from Richard.
So is this enough for Richard Westbrook to get in the 2:03 bracket? 2:03.6, it's a good establishing lap, but is it going to be enough? We've seen a 2:03.3 earlier today from his teammate, and across the line, Mucker's done a 2:03.9, not quite enough for Stefan Mucker, needs a bit more performance. Now, Pastorelli's done a 2:05.4, that's the difference, my goodness, a second and a half off the pace of the Nissan and the Aston Martin here, the Lamborghini, despite its amazing strength last time out at Navarra.
Yeah, well, I think that's a mistake because they've done 2.4s beforehand, so I think he's either backed out of it near the end because he hasn't been quite good enough. Now he's got his second lap to really get one in. This is really going to be his only chance.
He is carrying some ballast though, remember, he's carrying 35 kilos of ballast, and that's got to hurt you. No, any lap it's going to hurt you, so that is an effect. Thomas Enger about to cross the line here, and he goes 6th only a 2... Actually, okay, that was sort of a slow lap first.
This will be the lap.
Okay, all right,
Thomas,
so he's really done the other approach.
Yep.
Back with Richard Westbrook on another lap, his first sector good. So Westbrook's doing 2 laps together here that are quick.
Yeah, that's a good first sector, that one.
Meanwhile, Crum has only just come out of the pits, so Crum's gone for the later start. And look at that, he's up by 3/10 on his own fastest lap so far. Middle sector not quite so rapid, but
not bad.
No, on the target with what Mucker did in that second sector.
Yeah, it's only about half a tenth off.
So Westbrook trying to thread the eye of the needle, which is what qualifying is always about. It's that tightrope balance between putting the car on the absolute limit but trying not to quite teeter over the edge of it so that you're then either throwing the car off the road or more likely just wasting time with the car sliding too much.
Yeah, it's interesting again, he does that sort of wider entry,
interesting line.
Cuts it across right at the exit, and see what he can do on this lap.
So Westbrook currently fastest.
Good.
Is it going to be even quicker? 2:03.4. And it's quicker. Will it be enough? Here comes Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin. Can he get it back from Westbrook? No, 2:03.8 for him. He's second quickest. Meanwhile, we're going to see the Lamborghini cross the line. And Nicky Pastorelli, it's a 2:04.2 from him. So he's gone third quickest. And that is a big improvement for the Lamborghini with the ballast on board. Back with the number 7 car. This is Thomas Enger in his Aston Martin.
Couple of tenths down on the first one, and a couple of tenths down on the second one. So this is not looking to be one of Thomas's best.
So he's 7th at the moment.
Whoa!
A bit of work going on there, Thomas. A bit more than you would have liked, perhaps.
I think so.
So, well, will this put him? No, Jamie Campbell-Walters has just gone 3rd, by the way, and Enger's gone 2nd, so it was pretty good. Pretty good. It was like, wasn't the fastest on all the sectors, but he sort of strung a lap together there.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So a 2:03.7 from him. So it's Westbrook fastest, Enger 2nd, Mucker 3rd, Campbell-Walter 4th, Hazeman's 5th, Pastorelli 6th, Michael Crum just doing his fast lap now, so he's only 7th at the moment. Hohenadel is currently 8th. There is Christian Hohenadel, 2:04.0. He did earlier on, but in fact 2:04.5 was what he did earlier. Crum's just gone 2nd. Wow, very close to Westbrook's time, but not enough to beat him, but Crum will try and get another lap in. So it's Westbrook, Crum, Nissan 1-2 at the moment. Oh, as Christian Hohenadel tries to get this Aston moved up from 8th place currently.
Well, it's not going to be at the moment. That middle sector is quite a bit way off, nearly a second off, about 8 tenths down at the moment, so on the best. So that's going to hurt him a lot on this final lap.
Clock ticking away, 1 minute 20 to go on this final segment of qualifying. This is not going to be enough to attack Westbrook's time. Hohenadel establishes himself in 7th, pushes Pastorelli Lamborghini back to 8th place. It's still Nissan 1-2, Aston 3-4, then Nissan Corvette, Aston Lamborghini. As Michael Crum, this is his last real chance. He's not the fastest in the first sector, but it's a good first sector. So he's still in the hunt here, about a 10th down on Westbrook's best first sector. So keep an eye on the second sector. You're looking at a second sector time of around 36.6. If he can do under 36.6, oh, he does a 36.6. Well, I suppose he can still do it, but it's going to need a mighty final sector here.
It is. Well, he was very good on that final sector earlier on, so maybe this will be the one he needs. Just needs to get this all right. Needs to get the car in exactly the right position, use all those curbs, and not have any sliding around. At the moment, it's looking pretty okay, but it's important to get these exit of the that corner there. But now the last two corners are going to be very, very important to get the drive, especially out of the last.
Is it going to be the all-British Nissan on the pole position, or will it be the German team that snatches it away in the closing moments of qualifying? The checkered flag is out. Michael Krum comes out of the last corner. He needs just a few thousandths of a second on his previous best to beat Richard Westbrook. Is it enough? No!
Oh.
Westbrook holds on to pole, and Michael Krum does a 2:03.5 on that lap, just a few hundredths slower than his previous best, and it is Richard Westbrook on a 2:03.419 who takes it by 800ths of a second from his teammate. What a contest between two top drivers in the Nissans. Third fastest currently Thomas Enger. This is a slightly better lap coming up from Christian Hohenadel, but I doubt that it's going to be enough to get right up amongst the front runners. Let's just see.
Not with that second sector. That's still a bit too far off.
Okay, so this might move him up from 7th. Diego 6th, gains 1, but no more than that. And most of the others have done their laps now, I think. It's Westbrook who has taken pole position in the Nissan, and that is his second pole position of the season. He and Dumbreck took pole in Portugal, where they went on to win the qualifying race, but were bitterly disappointed not to win the main race when they had a gearbox problem. But they've got their big rivals and teammates, Krum and Law, will start on the front row with them on the qualifying race. Then you've got Thomas Enger's Aston in third. I guess the slight surprise of that session for me was that Stefan Mucker was only 5th in the end, because Darren Turner had been so quick in segment 2.
Absolutely.
Stefan had been quick in segment 1, but he couldn't quite deliver there.
Well, that's one. It's not 1 second there. Where are they? Oh no. So yeah, it's one.
They're only 4/10 off pole, mind you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so close. Top 6 cars there, covered by half a second. I mean, it's brilliantly close, and you know, Stefan did a great lap. It's just that it wasn't quite the lap that we might have seen, and Enger ended up as fastest Aston.
Absolutely, which is quite a surprise. They sort of the ones that sort of came from a bit further afield, but at the end of the day for Thomas, that's actually a great result.
So Richard Westbrook and Peter Dumbreck take pole, just beating their teammates, who, remember, are carrying some ballast. There's 20 kilos of ballast on the number 23 Nissan, so they've always got that excuse, and it was a great contest between them. Third was the young driver Aston Martin of Thomas Enger and Alex Muller, and fourth fastest, the number 21 Nissan, also carrying a little bit of ballast, the Jamie Campbell-Walter David Brabham car. Fifth fastest for the number 8 Aston of Stefan Mucker and Darren Turner. Then behind them, Christian Hohenadel and Andrea Piccini in their Aston, followed by the Corvette of Mike Hazelman's. Couldn't quite get in the 2-minute 3s in that final part of qualifying.